Chapter 1. The Illusion Unveiled. Time is an illusion. Albert Einstein. A deeper look at time. From the moment we wake until the moment we sleep, time seems to rule our lives. We schedule, plan, remember, and worry, all based on the clock. It feels solid, objective, and linear. Past to present to future. But is that truly the nature of time? Modern science and ancient philosophy suggest otherwise. They reveal something startling. Time is not a fixed reality, but a mental and perceptual construct. What we call time may not exist in the way we think it does. Instead, it might be a story the mind tells to make sense of change, not an absolute truth, but an illusion we live by. The science that shattered the clock. The illusion of linear, fixed time began to crack with the work of Albert Einstein. His theory of relativity showed that time is not a constant, but relative to speed and gravity. For example, an astronaut traveling near the speed of light would experience time more slowly than someone on Earth. Time actually bends and stretches depending on where you are and how fast you're moving. In other words, there is no single universal clock ticking throughout the cosmos. This isn't just theoretical. It has been proven by precise clocks on satellites and planes. Our GPS systems work only because they account for the warping of time and space. Then come the strange insights of quantum physics, like the delayed choice experiment. In this experiment, particles behave differently depending on when we observe them, suggesting that the future may influence the past and that time may not flow in a straight line at all. Philosophical perspectives. Long before Einstein or quantum physics, ancient mystics and philosophers questioned the nature of time. Buddhist teachings speak of time as a mental formation, something created by the mind, not an external force. St. Augustine once wrote, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know. If I want to explain it, I do not." Advaita Vedanta sees all experience as happening in the eternal now, with past and future being concepts projected by the mind. What emerges across traditions is a powerful insight. Time isn't out there. It's in here, a product of perception, memory, and expectation. Real-life examples. When time breaks down. You've likely experienced this yourself. During a crisis, time slows. Every second feels stretched. Your awareness sharpens. In joy or creative flow, hours vanish in what feels like minutes. When waiting anxiously, a minute can feel eternal. These are not anomalies. They are signs that time is not fixed. It is fluid, shaped by our state of consciousness. Practical reflection. Take a moment to reflect. When have you felt time speed up or slow down? What were you doing? What state of mind were you in? Did time feel real or like something malleable, even unreal? These moments offer a crack in the illusion. They reveal that your experience of time is inseparable from your awareness. What if time, as we know it, isn't real? What if it's not an arrow moving forward, but a mental framework we place on change? Science shows that time bends. Philosophy shows that time deceives. Your own experience shows that time behaves strangely. To question time is to begin questioning the very structure of how we live and think. And from that questioning, a new kind of freedom can emerge, not just from the clock, but from the mind that clings to it.
Chapter 2. The Mind's Time Machine. Time isn't the main thing, it's the only thing. Miles Davis. Or is it? The mind's habit of time travel. While clocks tick steadily forward, the mind rarely lives in the moment. It drifts, spins, and loops, constantly replaying the past and projecting into the future. This habit is so deeply ingrained that we hardly question it. But when we step back and observe our thoughts, we begin to see the truth. Time for the mind is not measured in seconds, but in stories, in memories, expectations, regrets, and hopes. The past and future are not places we visit physically. They're mental landscapes the mind recreates using memory and imagination. In this way, our experience of time is more psychological than it is physical.
Memory gives us a sense of continuity, a personal timeline that seems to anchor us. But memory is not a fixed record. It's fragile, malleable, and often distorted. Consider individuals with anterograde amnesia, a condition where the brain can no longer form new memories. These individuals live in an eternal present. They may remember their childhood, but cannot recall what happened an hour ago. To them, the future is unreachable. The past is fixed, and the present, though fleeting for us, becomes an endless now. This highlights something important. Our sense of time is built entirely by the brain. When memory falters, time collapses. Anticipation and the construction of the future. Just as memory creates the past, imagination constructs the future. We forecast outcomes, plan for success, brace for disappointment. But none of this is real. It's a rehearsal, a simulation. The future doesn't exist yet. It lives only in thought. This future thinking can be useful, planning, dreaming, but more often it fuels anxiety, fear, and distraction. The mind wants to control what hasn't yet happened, and in doing so, it robs us of peace in the present. The oddball effect, when time warps. Our perception of time is not stable. It bends with attention. In a fascinating study known as the oddball effect, participants were shown a series of repeated images followed by a different, unusual one. Even though the images all appeared for the same amount of time, the odd one seemed to last longer. Why? Because it captured more attention. This shows how time stretches or contracts based on mental engagement, not objective measurement. A boring lecture drags. A joyful conversation flies by. Time is not just measured, it is felt, and that feeling is shaped by consciousness. Practical exercise. Watch the mind at work. Set a timer for 10 minutes. Sit quietly and observe your thoughts. How many thoughts are about the past? How many imagine the future? How often do you feel truly here? This simple exercise reveals how rarely we live in the present and how the mind's time-traveling habits dominate our awareness. You might begin to notice, I am not in the past or future, my thoughts are. And with that awareness, the illusion starts to loosen. Time as a thought construct. We often feel ruled by time, but much of that tyranny is internal. The mind creates time through patterns of remembering and anticipating. These habits shape how we perceive ourselves, our lives, and reality itself. But the moment we recognize this, the moment we see the mind's time machine in action, we create space. In that space, freedom begins, not from time itself, but from the mind's grip on it. Chapter 3. Cultural Clocks. Time is not the same everywhere. It breathes with the culture that tells it. Time as a cultural invention. We often assume that time is universal, that everyone experiences it in the same way. But time, as it turns out, is not only a mental construct, but also a cultural one. How we perceive, measure, and value time is shaped by the society we live in. In the Western world, time is often viewed as a line, past, present, and future, progressing forward like train cars on a track. In many Eastern traditions, time is cyclical, like the seasons, the moon, or life itself, endlessly repeating. These aren't just philosophical ideas. They profoundly shape how people live, think, relate, and prioritize. The West, time as a resource. In most Western societies, time is treated as a commodity. Time is money. Don't waste time. Save time. Spend time. Run out of time. The clock rules. Schedules, deadlines, productivity. Everything revolves around efficiency. This leads to fast-paced living, a sense of constant urgency, and the feeling that there's never enough time. This worldview is relatively recent. Before the mechanical clock, time was tied to nature, the sun's rise and fall, the rhythm of the seasons. But in medieval Europe, the invention of mechanical clocks began to transform society. People began organizing life by the hour, rather than the harvest or sunrise. Factories, work shifts, school bells, all emerged from this shift. The clock didn't just measure time, it changed how we felt time. The East, time as a cycle. By contrast, many Eastern cultures, especially those influenced by Hinduism, Buddhism, Taoism, see time as circular. Birth, death, and rebirth form a continuous cycle. Nature is honored for its rhythm. Time is not something to conquer or manage, but to flow with. This leads to a more present-focused, patient, and process-oriented way of living. The future is not always more important than now. The emphasis is on balance, harmony, and alignment, rather than acceleration. Indigenous wisdom, event-based time. Some indigenous cultures offer even more unique views. Take the Hopi people of North America. Their language doesn't describe time in tenses like past, present, and future. Instead, it's event-based. Time is measured not by a clock, but by what is happening. You don't do something at 3 p.m. You do it when the sun is overhead, or after the rain. Time is not a ruler, it is a rhythm. This perception fosters patience, presence, and a deeper connection to the natural world. How culture shapes our experience. The culture we grow up in shapes how we relate to the present moment, how we value speed, productivity, or rest, how we deal with aging, planning, and endings. For instance, someone raised in a fast-paced, clock-bound culture may feel guilty for doing nothing, while another raised in a cyclical tradition may view rest as essential to balance. Neither view is right. But becoming aware of these cultural time lenses allows us to ask, is this way of living time serving me, or enslaving me.
Practical reflection. Spend a few quiet moments reflecting. How does your culture teach you to use time? Do you treat it like a resource to manage or a rhythm to follow? How does this influence your stress, productivity, and self-worth? Then ask, what would it feel like to experience time differently? Even small shifts, like listening to your body's rhythm instead of the clock, can bring profound freedom. Summary. Time wears many faces. Time is not a singular truth. It's a cultural lens, a set of shared assumptions passed down through language, history, and habit. By recognizing this, we loosen the grip of any one definition and open to the possibility that time is not what we thought it was. In questioning time, we reclaim life.
Chapter 4. The Tyranny of Time. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. But now he races against it. When time becomes a master. In today's world, time is not just a measurement. It has become a ruler. We organize our lives around deadlines, schedules, calendars, alarms, and routines. We try to squeeze more into each hour, track productivity, and optimize every moment. But this relentless structure creates something subtle yet devastating: the belief that there is never enough time. This belief fuels stress, exhaustion, and the deep anxiety that we are always falling behind, not just in work, but in life. The irony: the more we chase time, the more it slips through our fingers. Burnout, the cost of chronological obsession. Consider Mira, a high-achieving executive. Her life is ruled by back-to-back meetings, task lists, and constant alerts. Even her leisure time is scheduled. Self-care now feels like another item to manage. Eventually, Mira burns out, not from doing too much, but from living entirely in service to the clock. Her body is present, but her mind is always somewhere else, preparing for the next thing, racing against time's imaginary whip. She has lost touch with life's natural rhythm, her inner signals, and the beauty of just being.
Freedom beyond the clock. Now contrast that with Rathi, a monk in a rural monastery. He wakes with the sun, eats when hungry, meditates when stillness calls. There are no alarms, no productivity hacks, yet his days are full, meaningful, and grounded. Or consider an artist immersed in their craft. They forget the hour, the day. In that timeless state, something pure arises: presence, flow, peace. These people are not lazy or aimless. They are simply free from time's tyranny. The hidden danger of not enough time. The phrase, "I don't have enough time," may seem innocent, but it reveals a deeper illusion. It implies that time is scarce, that life is a race, that fulfillment is somewhere in the future. This belief keeps us in a constant state of tension and anticipation. We miss the moment we're in, always rushing toward one that hasn't come yet. But time is not the problem. The belief is.
Practical experiment: a day without time. Try this. Live one full day without checking the time. No clocks, no phone, no schedule. Instead, let your body and intuition guide you. Eat when hungry. Rest when tired. Create when inspired. Then reflect. Did you feel more anxious or more free? How did your sense of time change? What did you discover about yourself? Even a few hours like this can expose how deeply time has shaped your nervous system and how liberating it is to step outside it. Summary: time, when unquestioned, becomes a cage. Society trains us to obey the clock, measure our worth in output, and equate stillness with failure. But this is a trap, a mental prison built on illusion. True freedom begins when we stop treating time as a master. Only then can we return to the rhythm of life itself, one that has nothing to do with ticking hands and everything to do with presence.
Chapter 5. Glimpses of Timelessness. Have you ever been so completely present that time disappeared? That is not just a moment, it is a message. Moments outside of time. Although our lives are dominated by clocks, schedules, and the constant ticking of what's next, we all have moments where time seems to slip away or even disappear completely. These are the rare but unforgettable glimpses of timelessness, when we're no longer measuring life but fully immersed in it. In these moments, there's no past pulling us back, no future tugging us forward. There is only now, and the now is complete. Flow states, the zone of presence. Athletes, musicians, artists, and creators often describe being in the zone. Time dissolves. Actions flow effortlessly. There is full absorption in the task without self-consciousness or thought about the clock. Psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi told this the flow state, a condition of deep focus and joy where performance peaks and time warps. Consider the basketball player who says, "The game slowed down, everything was clear." Or the painter who looks up after what felt like minutes and realizes hours have passed. These states are not exotic, they're human, and they show us something profound. When we are fully present, time loses its grip. Mystical and near-death experiences. People who've had near-death experiences often describe a strange phenomenon. Time disappears. There's a sense of vast presence, peace, and eternity. In these moments, there's no hurry, no memory of clocks, just a vast eternal now. Similarly, deep meditative states or mystical experiences across spiritual traditions speak of a timeless awareness, a consciousness untouched by change. Monks, sages, and seekers have for centuries described this state as the true reality hidden behind the illusion of linear time. Why these moments matter? We tend to think of these timeless states as rare or reserved for the gifted or spiritual elite. But they are available to all of us, and they happen more often than we realize. Watching a sunset in silence, getting lost in music, laughing deeply with a friend, creating something with passion, sitting still and simply being. These moments point to a truth. Time is not what we are. Presence is, and presence knows no clock. Practical reflection. Find your portal. Choose an activity you love. Drawing, running, singing, gardening, writing, dancing, and fully engage in it without multitasking, judgment, or checking the time. Afterward, reflect. How did time feel during that activity? Were you more in your head or in the moment? What does this suggest about your true nature beneath the mind? These activities become portals to timelessness, not because of what they are, but because of how you are in them. Summary: Echoes of eternity. Glimpses of timelessness are not fantasy, they are memories of reality.
They remind us that beneath the mind's timeline, there is a deeper truth, a reality where presence is all there is, a space where peace isn't something to earn, but something we return to. These moments are not escapes, they are clues, pointing us toward the freedom that's always available when we awaken from the dream of time.
Chapter 6, The Eternal Now. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. Eckhart Tolle. Time's disappearing act. We talk constantly about the past and future. We relive memories. We plan ahead. But if you stop and look closely, you'll see something startling. Neither the past nor the future actually exist. The past is a memory, stored in your mind, colored by emotion, shaped by interpretation. The future is imagination, a projection, a story about what might happen. Only one thing is ever real: now. This present moment is not a fragment between two others. It's the only place life actually happens. Teachings from the Power of the Now. Eckhart Tolle, a modern spiritual teacher, describes how his life changed the moment he realized this truth. During a period of deep depression, he had a sudden insight. I cannot live with myself any longer. In that moment, he questioned the voice in his head and became aware of the silent presence beneath it. This shift opened the door to what he called the power of the now, a life not lived through thought, but through presence. He teaches that suffering arises not from situations, but from our resistance to the moment. He says, time and mind are inseparable. When you free yourself from time, you free yourself from the mind. Meditation, a taste of timelessness. Consider a meditator sitting quietly, eyes closed, attention on the breath. At first, thoughts flood in. What happened earlier? What's next? But slowly, as awareness deepens, the mental noise quiets. There are no stories, no minutes passing, just the breath, just being. In this state, time seems to disappear. Not because it stops, but because you are no longer identified with the thinking mind that creates it. This is not an escape. It is a return to what is always here, this moment, this stillness, this now. The now as a doorway. The eternal now doesn't mean the present moment in time. It means the timeless presence beneath all moments. This now is not part of time. It is the space in which time appears. Every spiritual tradition, whether Zen, Taoism, Sufism, or mystic Christianity, points to this truth. Be here now. Be still and know. The kingdom of heaven is within. These are not poetic suggestions. They are pointing instructions to wake up from the illusion. Practical exercise, mindfulness of breath. Try this simple 10-minute practice. Sit comfortably and close your eyes. Bring your attention to your breath. Feel it entering and leaving the body. Each time your mind drifts, gently return to the breath. Notice, what happens to time when you rest fully here? Afterward, reflect. Was time still present, or was something deeper there? How did your body feel? Your mind? What is different about now when fully experienced? Summary. Now is all there is. The mind wants to live elsewhere, in memories or predictions. But life only ever unfolds here. The eternal now is not just a moment. It's your true home. When you learn to live here,
not occasionally, but habitually. The illusion of time dissolves, peace arises, presence deepens, and you discover that freedom was never in the future. It was here, all along.
Chapter 7. Awakening to Reality. You are not in time. Time is in you. Waking from the dream of time. What if everything you thought you were, your past, your identity, your future, were simply a story held together by the illusion of time? Awakening, in the spiritual sense, is not about becoming something new. It's about remembering what you are and realizing that the self constructed through time is not your true essence. Time is the thread, and the ego is the tapestry it weaves. But what you are exists before, beyond, and beneath both. The illusion of identity through time. We often define ourselves by time. I'm someone who used to. I've always been this way. Someday I'll be happy. But who are you without those stories? Strip away the timeline, and something deeper begins to reveal itself. This is what spiritual awakening points to. You are not the one moving through time. You are the timeless awareness in which time appears. Real-life awakenings, perception shifts. Take Byron Katie, for example. At the depth of her suffering, she experienced a radical shift. Lying on the floor of a halfway house, she suddenly realized that none of her thoughts were true, including the ones about time and self. She describes waking up into a state of profound peace, where the mind's stories, including those rooted in past and future, no longer controlled her. Her life was the same, but her experience of time and of self had changed forever. Or consider the Buddha, who sat under the Bodhi tree in silence and stillness. His awakening wasn't to a new belief, but to reality as it is, beyond all concepts, all measurements, all time. In that moment, the illusion of a self moving through time was seen through, and freedom was found. Self-inquiry, the path to timeless truth. Awakening doesn't require a cave, a monastery, or a crisis. It simply requires one thing: direct looking. Try this question: who am I without the story of time? Let the question sit in your heart. Let it stir something deeper than thought. You may discover that without your history, your goals, and your timeline, you're still here. You're not a someone moving forward. You're awareness itself, witnessing all things come and go. Practical exercise, timeless reflection. Take 10 minutes in a quiet space. Write freely in response to this inquiry. Who am I without the story of time? Let yourself go beyond logic. Let insights arise. There's no right answer, only the invitation to meet what is already present when time disappears. Summary: the timeless self. The mind creates time. Time creates identity. But you are not the mind. You are the still, spacious, silent witness, unchanging, unbound, ever-present. Awakening is not a future goal. It is a recognition of what has always been here, waiting behind the ticking clock, the racing thoughts, the ever-unfolding story. To awaken is to return to reality, to the now, to the timeless self that watches it all. Chapter 8.
Overcoming time-bound obstacles. To forgive is to set a prisoner free and discover that the prisoner was you. Lewis B. Smeds. The chains of time. Even as we begin to awaken to the illusion of time, emotional residue from the past and fearful projections of the future continue to pull us back into its grip. Regret binds us to what was. Anxiety traps us in what might be. These attachments are more than thoughts. They are deeply felt emotions that convince us time is real, powerful, and unescapable. But they are also illusions, and they can be released. The weight of the past, regret and resentment. Clinging to past pain, whether through guilt, shame, or bitterness, keeps us living in a loop that no longer exists. The event is gone, but the story and emotional charge remain, playing again and again in the mind. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks this cycle. Forgiveness doesn't mean approval or forgetting. It means releasing yourself from carrying the burden of what cannot be changed.
Real-life example. Healing through forgiveness. Maria was haunted for years by an old betrayal, something a close friend had done that left her bitter and angry. Through therapy and journaling, she finally wrote a letter, not to send, but to express what she felt. In doing so, she realized, holding on didn't protect me. It just imprisoned me. That day, she began to let go of the past, not for them, but for herself. The fear of the future, anxiety, and control. Just as the past binds us with regret, the future hooks us with fear. What if this happens? What if I fail? What if I can't handle it? These thoughts project us into a world that hasn't happened and may never happen, yet they create real suffering now. The antidote is not certainty. It is acceptance of uncertainty, the willingness to face life without needing control. Real-life example, embracing uncertainty. James struggled with chronic anxiety, always planning and predicting to avoid imagined disasters. But in meditation, he learned to notice these future-focused thoughts and gently return to his breath. Over time, he found a deep truth. I don't need to know what's coming. I just need to be here.
Practical exercise. Write to release. Choose a moment from your past that still holds emotional weight, whether regret, resentment, or guilt. Then write a letter of forgiveness to yourself, to another person, to life itself. You don't need to send it. The act of writing is the release. Then ask, how does it feel to loosen this story? Notice if your breath feels freer, if the mind feels lighter, if the present feels closer. Summary: the power of letting go. Regret and fear are not enemies. They are signs that we are still entangled in time. But when we bring awareness to these patterns, we begin to see that nothing from the past can bind us unless we keep carrying it. Nothing in the future can scare us unless we keep imagining it. Letting go through forgiveness and acceptance is not just healing. It is a return to freedom, to presence, to the timeless awareness beneath all stories.
Chapter 9. Living in Timeless Awareness. Awareness is the sunlight in which all things blossom. Sustaining timeless awareness. Awakening to timelessness is not just a sudden insight, it is a way of living. Timeless awareness can become our steady companion through daily practices and simple shifts in how we relate to life. Rather than being trapped in stories about past or future, We learn to rest in the present moment, carrying the calm, clarity, and freedom of timelessness through all our activities. Presence changes everything. When we live from timeless awareness, ordinary life transforms. Relationships deepen because we listen and respond with full attention. Challenges become invitations to stay grounded instead of reacting. Even mundane tasks become opportunities to reconnect with life. This shift doesn't require withdrawal from the world. Instead, it means engaging more fully with it without being swept away by thought.
Real-life examples. A monk's mindfulness. In a monastery, mindfulness is woven into every moment, walking, eating, working, resting. The monk cultivates a continuous thread of presence, so awareness becomes the natural backdrop of daily life, dissolving the illusion that time controls him. A busy parent's presence. Sarah, a mother juggling work and family, finds small pockets of presence during her hectic days, a few mindful breaths before answering a call, full attention while playing with her child, or a brief pause before reacting to stress. Over time, these simple moments become the foundation for a more peaceful, centered life amid chaos.
Practical exercise. Build your presence habit. Choose one small, manageable daily practice. 5 minutes of mindful breathing. Or noticing sensations while brushing your teeth. Or fully focusing on the first sip of your morning tea. Commit to this practice for 1 week. Each day, take a moment afterward to observe. How did it feel? Did you notice any shifts in your mood or focus? Was there a change in how you experienced time? Summary: the path of gradual freedom. Timeless awareness is not an instant fix. It grows with gentle, consistent practice. These practical steps help dissolve the grip of time's illusion, allowing presence to become our default state. As awareness deepens, life becomes less about rushing through moments and more about being fully alive in each one.
Chapter 10. The Journey Beyond Time. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Lao Tzu. Life beyond the illusion of time. What does it mean to live beyond time's illusion? It means stepping into a life that is fluid, free, and deeply rooted in presence. No longer confined by clocks or schedules, anxiety or regret. The awakened life flows naturally, like a river following its course without resistance. Awakening is not a destination, but an ongoing journey, a continuous deepening of awareness beyond the boundaries of time. Reflections from the Timeless. Consider Mira, who once lived her life controlled by deadlines and worries about the future. Over years of practice, she began to live more and more in timeless awareness. Now she describes life as a dance with the moment, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, but always fully present and alive. Stress still arises, but it passes like clouds in a vast sky. I am no longer a prisoner of time. I am its gentle witness and friend. This ongoing evolution is not perfection, but a graceful unfolding.
The Tao of timeless flow. Ancient wisdom speaks to this path as well. In the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu invites us to align with the Tao, the eternal flow beyond change and time. Be like water. Water benefits all things and does not compete. It stays in the lowly places that others disdain. Thus, it is close to the Tao. Water does not resist or grasp. It flows effortlessly through obstacles, shaping itself to the moment. Living beyond time is like this, a dance of surrender and engagement with life as it unfolds. Practical exercise. Imagine your timeless life. Take a few moments and close your eyes. Imagine, what would your life look like if you were fully free of time's grip? How would you move, speak, and relate? What choices would arise naturally from this freedom? Write down your reflections. Let your imagination reveal the possibility of a life not ruled by clocks or deadlines, but guided by presence and ease.
The ever-deepening journey. The journey beyond time is not a sudden event, but a gradual awakening to our true nature, timeless, spacious, and free. Each moment lived with awareness deepens this freedom, transforming existence into a vibrant, awakened state. This is not escape, it is homecoming. As you walk this path, remember, life beyond time flows gently, inviting you to join its endless dance. Thank you for journeying through the illusion of time. May your steps be light, your awareness deep, and your presence boundless.